Hey everybody, so if you want a leveling build that is simple to play, clears fast, and absolutely melts bosses, this is the one. This is the Warlock leveling build that is focused entirely on the Eviscerate skill. And in this video, I'm breaking it down so that you know exactly how it works. We're gonna go over the skill, the gear, the runes, the mercenaries, and how to play it. So let's get right into it. All right, so let's start with the skills. First up, we have Hellion Sting. And what this does is that this lets you whip out a demon tail forward that deals 60% damage with a 5% chance to eviscerate enemies for 600 damage. So with the tail spikes modifier, Hellion Sting launches a wave of spikes forward or a long distance, and it deals 53 damage per hit. So this is going to be your main single target skill, and it's going to be your way to consistently apply Eviscerate, especially early on. You can get this as early as level 1. Next, we have Bombardment. And then what this does is that this throws down 4 demons into the ground, and each one deals about 40% damage. Now, on this one, when you can, we're going to put the brutality modifier on it. So that bombardment also becomes a summon skill, and then each impact has a 40% chance to leave behind mutilated demons for 6 seconds that attack surrounding enemies. So this is your main AoE tool, and it's a huge part of your clear speed. Then we have a big damage ability, and this is Rampage. And what this does is this summons a rampaging brute for 10 seconds that smashes around wildly, dealing 64 damage with a 64% damage, I'm sorry, with a 5% chance to eviscerate enemies for 1280 damage. So this is a really big one, and then you should be using this as much as you can. And then when you can, when you're able to put in the shockwave modifier, so that this makes it so that each strike also sends a second smash forward. This is your burst tool, and this is what you use to kill elites and chunk bosses. Next, we have the Sigil of Summons, and what this does is that this creates a binding ritual for 10 seconds that extends the duration of your summons. So if you kill 8 enemies or demons during this time, that fuels the ritual and summons demons for 20 seconds that attack nearby enemies. So you can have up to 3 demons active at a time. And then what we're going to put on this one is we we add the summon hellworm modifier, which keeps your army going and then basically just helps you apply constant pressure. Now, for the last offensive skill, we're going to have Command Agram. You get this at level 15 for once you finish your Warlock quest. And this is a huge part of your summon engine and overall damage because this dude cleaves with its arms, it deals 75% damage, it spawns a smaller demon. So it basically has a ton of damage. And then you what it does is once you summon it, you're basically going to have a pet that's going to be following you around. Finally, for mobility, we have Nether Step. And then this basically just lets you step through the shadows to a target location. You get 4 stacks of shadow form, which basically makes you stealth. And then you get 50% increased movement speed that lasts about 4 seconds. On this one, we're going to put the shadow recall modifier so that when you use Nether Step, you're going to bring all your summons with you, and then also it makes it 3 seconds longer. So this is your mobility tool. This is what you're going to use to move fast and to keep your summons active. Now let's talk about gear. So since this is your leveling build, the most important thing here is basically just upgrading your weapon. So your weapon damage is the base for all your damage calculations. So always prioritize higher weapon damage. That is basically it. After that, you should look for useful stats like percent to damage, damage to close enemies, damage to vulnerable enemies. So basically, as long as you're activating any of the conditions, these are all effective. Now, if you're having trouble dying a lot, for survivability, you can stack things like resistances, life, and armor. Now, tempering is also very important because even in on low level gear, tempering is cheap and can make a big difference. So just use it to fill in both damage and defensive gaps until you get better gear. Now, for the runes, remember that you can have up to 2 rune wards, each made up of 1 ritual and 1 invocation rune. It is best to socket them into your armor since weapons benefit more from damage gens. So the main combos that you should aim for on this build are Sir and Se, because what this do is they spawn wolves that deal damage and freeze enemies. And then another option is Sam and Qua. And then what these do is they give a free movement speed buff every time you evade. So these are the best in slot. If you can find these, there's a bunch that you could use. You could use Igni, you could use Ja. These are legendary ones, but if you happen to get them, then these are great options as well. Now, for the mercenaries, your hired mercenaries should be Variana because she provides additional healing through the Taste of Flesh ability, and she increases your attack speed with Hysteria. For reinforcements, you should use Altkin because he improves survivability, because he has the ability called Field of Language, which slows enemies. So together, they make your build really safe and they make it very consistent. Now, let's talk about how to actually play the build. And this is a simple but very effective loop. For single targets, you should use Hellion Sting. For AoE, you should use Bombardment and Rampage. And you also want to cast Sigil of Summons and summon Agrum to build up your army and apply Eviscerate across multiple enemies whenever they're in. Your summons will constantly pressure enemies while you deal damage. Now, whenever you need to move quickly between packs and whenever you need to reposition, then you should use Nether Step. Now, for leveling, if this is your first character, you can complete the campaign for the story, but it is not required. So I would still recommend it because the Vessel of Hatred campaign is faster for leveling, but you can skip campaigns entirely if you want to jump straight into seasonal content. Now, after you finish the campaign, if you're still not at max level, then you should focus on activities like Hell Tides, the Undercity of Kurast, and the Pit. Also, make sure to clear the strongholds at around level 60 so that you get a big experience boost. Don't do it at a lower level. So, just to sum it all up, you attack with Hellion Sting for single target, you use Bombardment and Rampage for AoE, you cast Sigil of Summons and summon Agrum to maintain your army and apply Eviscerate, and you use Nether Step to move around, and then you just watch everything melt. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content and you want to support the channel, there are a few ways that you can help out. First, drop a like on the video and share it with your friends, family, or anyone you think would enjoy it. It really helps the channel grow. Second, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss a future video. And third, if you would like to support me directly, you can do so at allbashgaming.com. In there, you can buy me a coffee, and now you can also rep the channel with your own merch. You can grab your Loot Goblin t-shirt or the classic It's Not a Glitch, It's a Tech t-shirt over on my shop. All the links you need are in the description. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. See you in the next one.